What's good, everybody? My name's Lucas. Welcome. In this video, I'm going to be comparing three different pitch correction plugins. First one's Antares Auto-Tune Pro X. Second is Melodyne Assistant. And third is Synchro Arts RePitch. If you find this video helpful, definitely let me know in the comments and consider subscribing. Also, if you want to directly support my channel, you can head to my website and grab my templates and sample packs. I'm not going to be using ARA format in this video. I'm going to have a completely separate dedicated video just to that. At the time of filming this, I can't really fairly compare all three of these in the same DAW, but if your DAW supports ARA for the particular plugin that you're shopping around for, all power to you. Your workflow will just be even faster. Here is what it sounds like with nothing on it, so you can get an idea of what we're working with.
I think you know.
Okay, so we have obvious pitch issues in both the lead and the harmony to take care of. Auto-Tune is the king of real-time vocal processing. In this video, we're gonna actually cover graphical mode because that is kind of what I'm comparing between the three. The first thing that we have to do is I need to track pitch and time with this button here. I'm gonna fast forward through this to make the video shorter, but I'll be right back. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set my root key to G. I'm just gonna use chromatic mode because I think there's a couple notes that I may want to use harmonic minor for, but I'm not sure yet, so we'll figure that out in a sec. If you actually select all of these, what it's automatically done is it's cranked up this retune speed, so it's already tuning it. So you can kind of grab whichever notes and just retune them just like straight auto-tune style, and that's pretty handy, but I'm gonna do this very lightly because we really need to make sure that the notes that are being hit are correct. So this note I actually want to be here. I'm going to take you through some of the different tools and things that you're going to need to know about for using this program and for deciding whether or not this will work for your workflow. So we have a bunch of different draw modes here, which are very, very useful if you want to draw your own custom curve like this. We have a multi-tool, range select tool, split tool. Splitting stuff is essential for vocal correction because sometimes you may want to break up the notes, or sometimes it won't even scan it correctly, as you'll see in the future with some of these other plugins. But like I may want to split this here, and then I may want this part to have vibrato, whereas this part's going to be retuned heavily. So you can do that with the split tool. This also has timing adjustment, which is really nice. This particular example I don't think needs heavy timing adjustment, but timing adjustment's super critical for doing harmonies and just tightening up your vocals in general. So it has a point and a region function for doing that, so it works really, really well. I'm going to turn on the harmony now, and we're going to go ahead and auto-tune that. So this plugin, I can tell already, works really well if you want it to do a lot of work for you in advance. It seems like it just sounds really good. It just has that auto-tune crisp sound right out of the box. Minimal work required, and then you have a bunch of tools to further edit timing and pitch as needed. So it really shines in that. It seems like it scans things very, very accurately. I like that. I'm going to tighten up this harmony real quick because there's some wrong pitches, and you'll see a little bit more detailed editing here. Okay, so right here we have some problems. This note needs to be up here. All these I'm going to tighten them. Tighten up retune speed for this part and for all these. Same thing here, we're going to split this for the vibrato. So check this out. I want to draw a more precise line between these two, so I'm going to do that. So this line tool is super handy. I'm going to do more precise pitch transitions between the two. Double click to commit that, and then I'm going to do a pitch transition between these two. Double click. For Auto-Tune Pro, it scans the audio really, really well. I think it's very user-friendly, especially if you want kind of like a hard tune effect. I really like the drawing modes. I think those are intuitive. And the retune speed knob really fixes a lot of problems without having to do too much manual editing. So Auto-Tune It's always been a standard for a reason. This graphical mode is great. I highly suggest checking it out. Our second contender here is Celemony Melodyne. I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's so funny. Celemony Melodyne. All right, so here we are in Melodyne. Completely different aesthetic here. One of the things that I noticed immediately is when you click these blobs, it actually uses the vocalist's tone, which is super cool and I think stands out between all three of these plugins. So we're gonna go ahead and Melodyne this. First things first, let's snap these notes to the right pitch. So you can enter your key here, which is kind of nice. I like being able to just type it in, so I think that's nice. So we're gonna just snap all these pitches to the correct ones. This is just a double click situation, so I really like how intuitive that is. And once we know we have the right notes here, we'll start using some of these tools. So I'll show you what everything's doing. So we have a pointer tool. This does a bunch of different pitch correction stuff. So we have pitch modulation and pitch drift correction, formant correction, amplitude correction, and timing tools as well. So there's a bunch of different things that you can do. Another thing that's really important is right here, you can set your grid size. So that's handy if you want to do eighth notes or quarter notes or whatever for time corrections.
I think
Okay, so this pitch we want on F sharp. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this pitch modulation tool and tighten some of these up.
I think you know.
Not bad. One thing that's really important to know with Melodyne is where you put your cursor is important. So if we hover above the blob, we can break the note, which is super handy. Breaking the note, trimming or cutting the note in all these programs is super essential to getting an accurate pitch correction situation because it's not going to scan everything perfectly. So this looks decent for now. I'm going to show you two cool things that you can do in Melodyne. One thing are these little pitch ramps in between notes. If you click this tool, the pitch tool, you can put your cursor in between notes and adjust how fast or slow the ramp is between the two of them. So I find this to be really handy for controlling that. The other tool that's really nice is you can control amplitude. So I can control how loud any particular note is, and you can also do sibilance if there happens to be. There's no sibilance issues here, but you can control breaths and sibilance, which is really nice. This tool will allow you to modify timing of stuff. So that's really useful if you want your vocal to be perfectly quantized. So here's the harmony track. I know what pitches they're supposed to be, so I'm just going to snap them first. That's usually the first step here to get everything right. Make sure your pitches are correct and also break anything that you think you might need to break. This is sloppy here, so let's just use this tool. Now, you might need to break this, but I'm going to just try to snap the pitch modulation in tune here, and same thing here. Okay, this is still a little dicey. Let's use that pitch ramp right here. One thing that I didn't mention is Melodyne does let you do macro adjustments. So if you select a bunch of notes, it will do this. I find myself editing vocals really just manually because I don't know, I don't feel like the macro adjustments on any of these programs really do it for me. I need to have individual control of each of the notes and break them and snap them. So this is sounding pretty good. Melodyne has been a staple in the industry for a really long time. So as far as spot correction, subtle pitch correction, subtle timing correction to really just help a vocal sit, this is the king. The GUI and everything about this plugin, in my opinion, is very, very user-friendly, and I think this is the best option for graphical editing for very natural, subtle-sounding pitch correction. So that's Melodyne for you, and this isn't even the full-on version. They have the Melodyne Studio, which will do polyphonic pitch correction and a bunch of other stuff that's crazy, but Melodyne Assistant. So here we have our music in RePitch. This program has some macros that you can use, but like I said, I'm not gonna use macros right now. We have a scale function here where you can enter the scale that you're using. We'll do G harmonic minor, add that, hit save. So we got our scale. We have the usual tools that you expect, plus a couple interesting ones that I'm going to touch on. So selector, notes tool, drawing, shaper. So these drawing and shaper ones are really, really cool. Split tool, which is great, and warping as well, as you'd expect. So let me just get some basic pitch correction on here. First, I'm gonna make sure they're doing the right notes. I can already tell there's a problem here with the way that this is scanned in because this isn't lined up. So I'm gonna use this split tool and just split that up, so we're good with that. I'm gonna split off this part that has a lot more vibrato here so I can control them individually. Now we go back to the pointer tool. Let's snap these notes to the correct pitch by double clicking. So I love how both these programs have that. This Synchro Arts program is unique in that we have a little bit more going on as far as like, you know, tip and tail editing functions, or whatever the term is. There's like little, depending on where you hover your mouse over. So Melodyne kind of has that, but this is a bit more detailed. So I'm gonna just keep snapping these to what I think should be the correct pitch. Depending on where you hover your mouse, it does different things, as you can see here. So I'm gonna get that to F sharp, and then let's snap these. Let's listen to this.
I think you know.
Not bad. So if you hover your mouse over this part, it's going to reduce the modulation. So that's going to be a nice first step. This left one does drift, this one changes the amplitude or volume, and this one does correction. Reduce this here.
I think you know.
Sounds really good. One quick thing I just wanted to touch on that this program has that I haven't seen before is this shaper tool. So what it lets you do is you can put these points and shape the tuning like that. The shaper tool is really neat for doing like spot adjustments on something like vibrato or something like that. So that's really cool. The draw tool we've already seen, but this one I think works as expected. So you can just draw stuff flat. The one thing that I did want to say that really, really bothers me about this, you would want to see this in grid mode so you can adjust it to quarter notes or 16th notes or whatever, but I cannot figure out a way to do that. It just shows time. In ARA format, this is not an issue, but if you plan on using this standalone for timing correction, that will not work for me at least. All right, so here's our harmony. I'm just gonna tighten this one up. So it did not automatically detect the scale, which is a little bit annoying. In Melodyne would have automatically done this.
Think you know.
Okay, so we need to do a lot of work here.
Think you know.
Now I'm going to tighten these up with this button right here. We don't need quite that much vibrato.
Think you know.
Let's take a look at the warping function here because this is really neat. It's just a shame you can't see it in grid mode, but if you did need to warp stuff, it looks pretty straightforward. Just some concluding remarks about RePitch, and then we'll compare our results with all three of them just to kind of get a general idea of what it sounded like. I think RePitch is a good option because it is at a cheaper price point than the other ones. I think that it has a lot of really interesting tools and it pretty much does everything that you could want. The only thing that really bothers me is just the fact that it doesn't have bars and beats as a grid resolution mode. So if I was lining up background vocals, like more stacks of vocals, and wanting to do warping to line them up, that would be really tricky, and that's not really a problem in Melodyne or in Auto-Tune. So that's one remark I have about that. So let's check out all three of them and see what they sound like.
I think you
So obviously this can't really be like a scientific comparison of how they sound. I think you get perfectly professional results out of any of these programs. I just dialed these in quickly for the sake of the example, but they all sound really good to me. Auto-Tune Pro is probably a better option if you're doing kind of quick pitch adjustment stuff, especially if you're using real-time pitch adjustment. Melodyne is more if you need super organic, super fine-tuned stuff that sounds realistic. And Synchro Arts, I think, sounds really good as well. It basically does everything, but it's at a cheaper price point, so it could be a good option for you if you're kind of more getting into this kind of stuff, and if you want to use vocal line as well, it'd be sweet to grab both of those. So that's it for me today. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out my channel and my website if you want to download my templates and sample packs. My name's Lucas. I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.